ज्ञातिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोविसितं स्थाप्तमेन निखिले स्वयं विपक्कदामयं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं गुरोशेतुपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सहगणा रघुनाथं मितं तां सजीवं साधितं साधुतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखार्थंश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकाकान्त राधाकृष्ण तप्त कंसन गौराकी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वशवानुसुदेव प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय वाचाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यश्च च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत शिवाचार्य गौरव हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे राम 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 हरे 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 krishna. Welcome to this discussion of Bhagavad Gita passages. We are right now in chapter 5, Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness is the title of this chapter. And right now we are in shloka number 22. We are discussing shloka number 22. And this talks about fixing the mind on Paramatma. So Karma Yogi attains liberation by doing this. And 22 to 25 shlokas, they focus on sense enjoyment is distressful. So what we need to do, that is what is to, we should tolerate the agitation of the mind. That is the point here. Let's go to the shloka. Ehi samsparsha jaboga dukkha yonaya evate adi antavanta kaunteya nateshu tamate udaha. An intelligent person does not take part in sources of misery. Sources of misery means which are coming due to contact with material senses. So sense objects which come in contact with the senses. So the intelligent person does not engage the senses in sense gratification activities. Oh, son of Kunti, such pleasures are the beginning and the end. That means these pleasures are temporary. So the wise man does not delight in them. So altogether, it is not permanent, and therefore it is not worth any endeavor. So what we need to focus is focus on Krishna consciousness. So we discussed about shloka number 520 to 529, where these shlokas are descriptive for a person who has already achieved these things in his life, and it is prescriptive for a person who is just now beginning Krishna conscious life. Then we this is sloka number. So we saw sloka number 22, different senses and the type of disease you get from them. So any engagement of sense and sense object is only resulting in misery. More number of problems you get from engaging senses with sense object. And we saw that engagement of senses and sense object results in anchoring and lamentation. There is some inner crust here. We are mad behind that. But the pleasure derived from it is very, very short. And these outer loaves are not that palatable. So, so overall, sense gratification, senses seek sense object to derive pleasure, but they are only sources of misery. So every sense pleasure has anchoring. When will I get it? This anchoring is not pleasurable, but miserable. The desire to gratify the senses, fantasizing about sense enjoyment. And the sense enjoyment is a torture. The person experiences the torment of craving, and then when there is a sense enjoyment, the living being feels that is so pleasurable. We need to uh, now what is that so pleasurable? We need to understand that we call this as pleasurable um, is not actually pleasure. It is relief from torment. When the tiny tasty piece of the sandwich gets over and ends, we feel that we want more, but that is got over, and that is lamentation. So when we want something and we get it, uh, but that is very short-lived, and therefore we feel that it was not good, it was not good enough. So Krishna is telling here that Adi Vanta Kaunteya, Adi Antavanta Kaunteya. The tasty layer in the sandwich is very tiny. We can barely enjoy the taste. This means that it has a beginning and it has an end. Therefore, Krishna makes a point that wise person does not delight in these type of pressure. So if you see the shloka, Nateshu Ramate Buddha, Nateshu Ramate Buddha. This is intelligent person, and in 5.20, let's go to that shloka for 5.20. So sammudo, we can see stila buddhi asammudo. Now Prishat Priyam Prape, no Dujit Prape Cha Priyam, Stira Buddhir Asammudo, Brahmavid Brahmani Sitaha. Asammudo means unbewildered, but Muda means one who is getting bewildered. So, what happens is that Buddha is a person who is not attracted to the sense pleasure, whereas Muda is a person who is captivated by the material sense pleasure. So Krishna uses the words more precise. That is Adi Antavanta Kaunteya Dukkha Yonaya. Dukkha Yonaya. It is all filled with miseries. The sense pleasure is born of miseries, born of Yoni means Yonaya. Yonaya means womb. Dukkha Yonaya means the womb of misery. Sense pleasure is pregnant with misery. When there is a pregnancy, there would not be any immediate change that could be perceived. Pregnancy means pregnancy gets results in a delivery. As soon as there is a sense pleasure, the delivery of misery is confirmed. It will be definitely delivered. In this delivery, there is no abortion possible. This delivery, there is no abortion possible. So the misery will gain momentum and progress like a juggernaut. No one can stop it. It will just hit us and we cannot avoid it. So it is pregnant with miseries. Dukkha yoga. Sense pleasure is womb of miseries. When we understand that sense gratification results in misery, which will sooner or later occur, the intelligent person does not take part in. That is why Krishna is telling, Nateshu Ramate Buddha. So Nateshu Ramate Buddha, intelligent person does not take pleasure in sense gratificatory activities. So Srila Prabhupada is talking about one interesting point here. In Padma Purana, it is said Ramate. So we are just trying to understand what is this. Ramante yogino ante satyananda chidatmani itarama padanya anasao para brahma abhidiyate. Abhidiyate. Brahma abhidiyate. The mystics derive unlimited pleasure. Ramante yogino anante. Satyanande Chidatmani from the absolute truth and therefore supreme absolute truth. The personality of God is Rama. So it is Param Brahma Avidiyate. So this is the meaning, one who enjoys and one who so we need one who enjoys is a person's name is Rama, personality of God. And mystics, yogis derive unlimited pressure from Rama. So Rama is also called as Ramate Ramayante. Ramayate. Ravate Ramayate. The Lord delights in himself and gives delights to others. This is for yogis, not for materialistic people. Materialistic people cannot understand the pastimes of the Lord. However, they will have their own fantasy novels like Harry Potter, Mr. Bean, and so on. They need to change their focus from these mundane novels to pastimes of the Lord. So all of us want something very fantastic, something very wonderful, something extraordinary to study, think about, to hear. If we get this in the pastimes of the Supreme Lord, that is the most wonderful thing. Ramante yogino anante. So Natesh, so Ramante means we can derive pleasure by reading pastimes of the Supreme Personality of God. Nateshu Ramate Buddha. Nateshu means we do not take pleasure in dukkha yonayavate, which arises from samsparsha javoga. So a person who is Krishna conscious, he does not take pleasure in sense gratificatory activities because it is pregnant with miseries and it is temporary. Therefore, he keeps himself away. So what he does, he always thinks about the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of God, engages in the service of the Supreme Personality of God. So Srila Prabhupada in this purport is quoting an interesting shloka from Srimad Bhagavatam. Nayam deva deha vajam niraloke kashtan kamam ate vidbhujam he tapodivyam uttaraka ena sattam shuddhyet yashmat brahma shaukyam tvanantam. My dear sons, there is no reason to labor very hard for sense pleasure, for the human form of life. Such pleasures are available while in this human form of life. Such pleasures are available even to stool-eater dogs with bhuja. Rather, you should undergo penances in this life by which your existence will be purified, and as a result, you will be able to enjoy unlimited transcendental pleasure. So Srila Prabhupada is quoting this from Rishabhadev's teachings to his sons. So if you see shloka number 5.2 also, Srila Prabhupada is quoting from 5.5.4 to 5.5.6. So this chapter is about Lord Rishabhadev's teachings to his sons. Now let us see what is this 5.5.4. Nunam pramata kurute vikarma yat indriya pritya apamoti na sadhu manye yatata atmanoyam asan api kleshada asadeha. When a person considers sense gratification the aim of life, he certainly becomes mad after materialistic living and engages in all kinds of sinful activity. He does not know that due to his past misdeeds, he has already received a body which, although temporary, is the cause of his misery. Actually, the living entity should not have taken the material body, but he has been awarded the material body for sense gratification. Therefore, I think it not befitting an intelligent man to involve himself again in the activities of sense gratification by which he perpetually gets material bodies one after the other. So sense gratificatory activities are dukkha yonayavati because we will end up taking birth again. So we will end up entering the cycle of birth and death again, which is full of miseries. If we go to the next shloka, 5.5.5, पराभवस्तावत् अबोधजातो यावानजिज्ञासा आत्मतत्त्वं यावत् क्रियास्तावत् इदं मनो वै कर्मात्मकं येन शरीरबन्धः. As long as one does not inquire about spiritual values of life, one is defeated and subjected to miseries arising from ignorance. This miseries arising from ignorance is nothing but miseries arising due to our sense gratificatory activities. Why we are engaged in sense gratificatory activities? Because we do not know the purpose of a human life. We are ignorant of it. So that is the ignorance. Be it sinful or pious, karma has its resultant actions. If a person is engaged in any kind of karma, his mind is called as karma, colored with fruitive activity. As long as the mind is impure, consciousness is unclear. As long as one is absorbed into the activities, he has to accept a material. That is why we should engage in activities which are dovetailed for satisfaction of Krishna. Let us go to the next shloka here. Eva mana karma vasam prayunte avidyaya atmani upadyamane प्रीतिर्नया मयि वासुदेवेन मुच्यते देह योगेन तत्त्वा तावत् योगेन तावत्. The living entity is covered with moon of ignorance. It does not understand the individual living being and supreme living being, and his mind is subjected by fruitive activity. Therefore, until one has a love of Vasudeva, one is none other than myself. Who is none other than myself? He is certainly not delivered from having to accept a material body again and again. So, unless we know about Krishna, it is not possible for us to come out of the bondage of material birth and death. So, these are the slokas which Prabhupada is quoting in 5.2. 5.2 is telling Sannyasa karma yogascha niyashreyas kala upo tayostu karma sannyasa karma yoga vishishyate. Personality of God had replied, renunciation of work and work in devotion are both good for liberation. But of the two, work in devotional service is better than renunciation of work. So the point here is that we should engage ourselves in devotional service. Any activity which is not doubted for Krishna's satisfaction, we will get bound. And we do this such activity because we are ignorant of Supreme Personality of God and is and about his devotees. That is why we are engaged in karma and fruitive activities. So we have to come out of it. So in 5.22, Srila Prabhupada is mentioning that so if you see this, Nayam Deva Deva Bhajam Nirloke Kastan Kama Arhate Vidbhuja Tapo Divya Putraka Kena Sattvam Shuddhi Yasmat Brahma Shaukyam Tvananta. My dear boys, of all living entities who have accepted material bodies in this world, one who has been awarded human form of life should not work hard, day and night simply for sense gratification, which is available even for dogs and hawks that eat stew with bhujam, stool eaters. One should engage in penance and austerity to attain divine position of devotional service. By such activity, one's heart is purified and one attains this position, he attains eternal blissful life, which is transcendental to material happiness and which continues for forever. So, Srila Prabhupada quotes the verse from Rishabhdeva's teachings very frequently. So, this shloka, the Nayam Deva Deva, so this shloka is slap on the face of sense enjoyers. Sense pleasure is for animals. Animal life is especially meant for eating, sleeping, mating, and defecting. So, if a human being also takes pleasure in eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, then what is special about human life? Human should so what a human being should not work hard for pleasure that is enjoyed even by the low class animals. So what should human do? Tapodivya. He has to do tapodivya. He has to engage in austerity, divine austerity. By this austerity, what happens? Putraka ena sattva. Putraka is my dear son, ena, by which sattva, the heart, shuddhyati. So the heart becomes heart becomes purified. This the whole putraka ena sattvam shuddhyat. So it becomes purified. So the consciousness becomes purified. This in turn results in what? Yashmat Brahma Shaukyam Tvananta. That means the result will be that they will enjoy unlimited transcendental bliss. Brahma Shaukyam will be unlimited transcendental bliss. The main point is that instead of seeking temporary sense pleasure, which is available even for animals, we must focus on divine austerity to purify our consciousness and then focus on gathering the unlimited transcendental pleasure, which is Brahma Shaukyam, which is Brahma Shaukyam. Tvam Anantam. And this Anantam can be related to shloka number in here. Akshayam Asnute. Shukam Akshayam Asnute. Where Shukam is happiness, Akshayam means unlimited. बाह्य स्पर्श सशक्तात्मा विन्दति आत्मनि यत् सुखं स ब्रह्मयोग युक्तात्मा सुखम अक्षयम अश्नुते. So Shukam Akshayam is unlimited transcendental happiness. So one question we need to answer here is why do we need to do austerity? Tapodivyam Trakayasa. What is this divine austerity? Why we need to do that? So if we see in 5.22, यही संस्पर्श जावोगा दुःख योनि एवते आदि अंतवंत कौंतया नतेषु रमते बुधः नतेषु. The intelligent person does not take part in sources of misery. This is by distancing oneself from sense gratification, distancing senses from the sense object. This is principally austerity. Why do we need to do this austerity? In transitional stage of bhakti, where we are practicing a steady sadhana. So if you see here, so naturally possessed, another one is consciously cultivating the sadhaka. So when we are in sadhaka stage, so we should distance oneself, ourselves from factors which is detrimental to the progress of devotional service. So the distancing of sense from sense object is applied in two ways. One is practicing the four regulative principles of no meat eating, no illicit sex, no gambling, no intoxication. This distancing oneself from factors which are detrimental to the progress in devotional service, we will be able to when we do execute devotional service, then we get positive engagement. The second part is positive engagement of the senses in Krishna service, which is getting up early in the morning, not later than 4 a.m., attending Mangalarti, devoting dedicated time for chanting 16 rounds and chanting 16 rounds, eating only Krishna Prasad. These are two aspects. One is distancing oneself from factors which are detrimental to devotional service. Second part, engaging in positive activities which build devotional attitude, devotional service. So the struggle is to, so this is a struggle to distance oneself from material happiness and associate with spiritual happiness. This has to happen in tandem. This is like a ship passing through a storm. Sailor has to hold the ship afloat. This ensures that ship passes through the storm. It reaches destination successfully by sailing the rest of the journey steadily and peacefully. So first pass through the storm and then sail safely. Then only we'll reach the destination properly. This can be also explained by in the terms of treatment given to a patient suffering from the disease. So is So the patient has to follow the medication and he has to also take the diet prescribed by the physician. So this ensures that the patient comes out of the disease condition and also able to lead a normal life. This period of austerity is compared to period of medical treatment. And Prabhupada's purport for this is very nice, and you can see last part. Therefore, who are true yogis or learned transcendentalists are not attracted by sense pleasure, which are cause of continuous material existence. The more one is addicted to material pleasure, the more he is entrapped by the material miseries. So at this juncture, now, Krishna has given a lot of information about sense engagement, sense gratificatory activities, how to detach from sense gratificatory activities, and so on. Now, Arjuna gets a question. This knowledge that engaging senses in sense objects lead to misery, hence, he has to distance from the sense gratificatory activity. So, how does this knowledge help him in controlling and regulating the senses? Just by knowing that we need to be away from the sense objects, how does it help him in controlling and regulating senses? So, Arjuna's question is, what should I do? So, if Krishna really is interested in Arjuna, he will tell him what Arjuna has to do so that he comes out of these sense gratificatory activities. So, what should be done? If you see shloka number, let us go to the next shloka. Sakniti yeshora praksharira vimokshana kama krododbhavam vegam sa yukta sa sukhi naraha. Before giving up this present body, if one is able to tolerate the urges of material senses and check the force of desire and anger, he is well situated and is happy in this world. So what is the point? The point is, how can we keep senses away from sense objects? By tolerating the urges. Tolerate the urges of material senses. These urges are grouped as ones which originate from kama and which originate from krodha. How long? These urges are in the born with the body in which we are right now, living life right now. Hence, this urge will stay till we are in this body. So we need to tolerate the urges as long as we are in this body. This may look sobering, but on a deeper level, we can understand that it is hope giving. There is a clear cut root cause for suffering, and there is also a remedy for the miseries of the body. So, is there a struggle? Yes, there is a definitely struggle. This struggle becomes more and more manageable and winnable by properly following the instructions of Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Thus, the is well situated to give up the body when he has this knowledge and when he starts applying this knowledge in his day to day life. Prak Sharira Vimokshana. Prak means before Sharira, body, Vimokshana, giving up this body. He is happy in this world. Sayukta Sukhi Naraha. He is happy in the world. And by tolerating the Kama Krododbhavam Vegam, and he has to tolerate till he leaves the body. So this is what he has to do. Before giving up his present body. If one is able to tolerate the material senses, check the force of desire and anger. Prabhupada is taking Kama as desire, Krodha as anger. He is well situated. So when we are able to control, check the force of desire and anger, we are well situated and happy in this world. And then, because we have this knowledge that we have to tolerate, because this is Krishna's instruction, our passage up to back home, back to Godhead is very, very guaranteed. So Krishna is pointing out that when we are in this material body, there is always a possibility of getting urges. We need to tolerate these urges. Arjuna is a warrior. He can withstand and retaliate the weapons which are aimed at hitting his physical body. He has to keep fighting even if he is wounded by many weapons. In the same way, he has to tolerate the onslaughts. So lust and anger are attacking him in different directions. They attack him, they wound him. Arjuna has to tolerate the attack and keep retaliating with his weapons. This retaliation and attack is Sapnotiya Yasodam. Now he is able in the present body, one, tolerate. So he has to do what? Tolerate. As long as he is present in the body, he has to tolerate. So the weapon is ability to tolerate. Onslaught of anger and desire are there, and it can be counteracted by ability to tolerate those onslaughts. Tolerance is invisible wall between temptation and transgression. We get tempted. Temptation is the feel that we get. Temptation is the feel which tells, "I want this. I want to enjoy it." Sometimes we few images come in our mind and some desires pop up. At these times, we feel tempted to indulge in the sense of joy. This temptation is natural. All of us will get tempted. Transgression means when we act on the temptation and indulge in sense of joy, then we transgress. Every time the temptation does not lead to transgression. This temptation is the wall of tolerance. So there is a coffee, smell, aroma of coffee coming, and my sensor says, "Go have the coffee. It's very hot. It is having a very nice aroma. It will be enervating when you drink coffee." So this type of urge comes, urge to enjoy, urge of desire comes. But there is a wall of tolerance. There is a wall here, and that wall prevents the urge from enjoying the sense of it. So that wall is wall of tolerance. The urges gets controlled. The force of desire and anger get checked by this wall of tolerance. This comes from the basic understanding that it is natural to get tempted. We have been living in this world for so long, so temptation is very natural. By engaging in service of Krishna, we get a higher focus. This focus helps us to build a strong wall of tolerance, and hence we check the force of anger and desire, which are born out of temptation to enjoy the senses. So anger and desire are born of temptation to enjoy the senses. And as soon as we see a sense object, there is a wall of tolerance which disconnects the senses from the sense objects. Is this tolerance something new that we are talking about? No, it is the same thing we practice in our daily life. We may find people around us speak harshly to us. They are very rude. They behave rude with us. But what we do, we tolerate it. This is application of a good intelligence. We understand that we need not have to react to all bad, worse, and worst things that happens to us. We understand that in long run, these reactions are meaningless, and hence we remain steadfast in our sadhana. This attitude makes us strong. This is not weakness. This attitude makes us respond judicially, wisely, rather than acting impulsively or reacting impulsively. Tolerance is our strength, that is not weakness. On the other hand, intolerance makes us slave to our impulses. Krishna therefore advises, Saknoti yesodum, tolerate. This is strength. Is not is pitching the point of tolerance because this strength tolerate the urges of material senses. Now, in case of Arjuna, Arjuna is a warrior. He's a warrior prince. When a challenge is thrown to him, he will embrace the challenge, face the challenge. When temptations come, we shouldn't think that, oh my God, I will now fall down. The temptations simply indicate that we have become disconnected from Krishna. Therefore, the remedy is that when temptations come, instead of getting connected to sense gratification, we should take these temptations as warnings that our Krishna conscious connection is becoming weak. We need to be focused on Krishna consciousness. And now we are off track because of disconnection from Krishna. So Whenever there is a temptation, it means no connection to Krishna. So if you have to prevent temptation, we need to ensure that we are very well connected with Krishna. So if temptation comes, well connection with Krishna helps us to have better tolerance. Hence, temptation to transgression cannot happen because the wall of tolerance is very strong. Therefore, we should not reason temptation as a cause for our fall down or capitulation. Rather, we should see this as a signal or indication for retaliation. We need to fight back the pull for sense gratification and focus on Krishna consciousness. And Krishna consciousness means it is our Krishna conscious sadhana. We do not fall prey for the pull of the mind. We do not allow our mind to cheat us happiness through sense gratification. Whenever we pull whenever we see there is a pull for sense gratification, it means that we are going off track from our sadhana. We are going away from Krishna connection. We need to consider this as an alarm, a warning to become steadfast in our sadhana. We need to retaliate this tendency by seeking shelter of Krishna. How can we engage in take shelter of Krishna? By engaging in service of Krishna, by associating with devotees, by reading Srila Prabhupada's books, by attending Mangalarti regularly, getting up early in the morning, much before 4 a.m., not after 4 a.m., before 4 a.m. These are ready stock of weapons to beat down the temptation when they arise. This brings peace and calmness to the mind. We become steady in our Krishna conscious sadhana. Because the point is that Shaknotiva Yasodam, tolerate. This is very, very important. We need to get into the habit of tolerating the urges of mind and the urges of senses, urges of desire and anger. Um, so this toleration is to be done till when Prak Sharira Vimokshanam. It needs to be practiced till we are this body. Till death, we cannot lower our guard for temptation. We have to ensure the tolerance is maintained by constantly engaging with Krishna. A firefighter may become seasoned and experienced in fighting the fire, but this does not make fire less intense towards him, nor it limits the size of the flame. What changes is the attitude of the fighter, the ways of the fighter to handle the fire. His intelligence to handle the fire equipment becomes better and better. So he hones that skill. That means a person who is practicing Krishna consciousness through his sadhana must develop a strong tolerance and so that there is no transgression from the temptation to no, there should not be any movement from temptation to transgression. It should hit the wall of tolerance and go back. So that is how we should do. So we must be very strong. This, however, does not make no, the sense gratificated temptation less intense. It will be there, but our tolerance becomes much more stronger. So the diligence of the firefighter to handle the fire equipment becomes better because he has controlled the fire. He has seen different types of fire and he has controlled them in the past. Same way, a person who tolerates the urges of desire and anger by proper connection with Krishna will be able to handle all the temptations in a much easier way. He will be able to put down the temptation faster than the the faster than the speed of the spread of the temptation. So it is very, very important that we build this tolerance habit. And this tolerance habit comes from our strong sadhana. It is very important. We will stop here. Thank you very much. वाचाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। कृतराज भगवद्गीता की जय, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम हरि हरि हरे कृष्ण।